So very recently I read the novella 1922, yes, which is featured in this Full Dark No Stars anthology by Mr. Stephen King himself. And I knew of the film, and I knew it was based on a novella, and I knew that the film was on Netflix, and I always wanted to read the novella first before watching 1922 because I had seen like clips from trailers and stuff like that, and it looked like a cool film, but I really wanted to grasp the concept of the story on paper and on the page before I checked out the film, which could be better or worse depending on what the adaptation is like. But I'm gonna be doing some comparisons, but I'm mostly talking about the film because this is a film channel. So I got to watch the film pretty much right after I finished reading the story. And this stars Thomas Jane as the main character. Thomas Jane is probably most known for playing the Punisher in the 2004 film, but he also has a directorial debut, can't even speak tonight, on a film called Dark Country, which I actually have a review for on the channel. So if you want to check out the review for Dark Country, it's a very underrated, very low budget film, and it's actually really well done in my opinion. Very, very unique, very interesting film. But we're here for 1922, so this is streaming on Netflix, and it's been streaming for a while on Netflix. And the film was made in 2017, and this story, first of all, is very easy to adapt. Basically, the story involves this guy writing in his diary, and he's basically explaining the events that happened from 1922 to like 1930 or something like that. And basically, it's a story about his wife inheriting a bunch of farmland that came from her father. Is it her father? She inherited it from family, basically, and the land is hers. Now, because she's not, into the farm life and she wants to move to the city, she has this back and forth argument, heated argument for months, basically, saying that she wants to sell her part of the land, which she owns, and move. And the husband, played by Thomas Jane, is like, no, I want to extend the farm, and I want to extend the farmland, and we were going to stay here and, make a bigger farm kind of thing. So it's them arguing, and eventually he comes up with the evil plan of murdering her to, keep the farm and keep the land. And he tries to convince his teenage son to help him out. So they plot this thing to kill the wife and the kid's mother, and he convinces the kid to kill mom. And basically it goes from there, and it goes into his psyche, and he starts to, get very paranoid, lose his mind, lose his sanity, as anybody would, because he's not a psychopath, he's not a sociopath. He clearly, this has impacted him. And a lot of crazy shit happens, and when the lawyers come and the people who want to buy the farm, and everybody's kind of investigating, and a lot of stuff happens that I don't want to get too much into for to avoid spoilers. But crazy shit happens. There's this thing involving some cows that happen, and it's really disturbing, especially in the book. And this film, it's really well acted, and it's very well shot. All the performances are extraordinary. The best thing about this film is how it's acted. It also has great practical effects. It has some good gore. It is violent. It does have that. It's not a tame film by any means. However, coming from the story, if anybody's read the story is just so much more sick and twisted and disturbing, and really gets under your skin than this show does. Coming from the story, it is very tame. For those who don't read, for those who aren't into reading at all, the film's going to entertain you because there's great practical effects, like I said. The kills look good, the kill, I guess. And everything involving like his paranoia and everything, and what he's envisioning, it's creepy. It will get under your skin, but it just feels like a much more watered down version of the novella. So myself, I have to recommend the novella immediately to anybody who's like, hey, should I read the novella or should I watch the film? You should definitely read the novella. And if you watch the film, you should still definitely read the novella. But it's a very easy story to adapt because the novella is like 130 pages, so an hour and 45-minute film, which is what this is, fits perfectly. And they cover everything. Like, there's enough time to cover everything without missing a beat. And it does go basically how the novella goes. Like, they don't skip around a whole lot. The ending, they change a little bit, just a tad, to make it more cinematic. And I actually like that they did that, because if they kept the ending exactly like the novella, it wouldn't work. It would just be... it'd be too abrupt, and it wouldn't be entertaining. So, you know, they did a good decision on changing things just enough to make the cinematic experience better. So that was cool. Yeah, I can't harp enough on the performances, because they're all extraordinary. The kid who plays the teenage son is great. The girl who plays his girl love interest is great. They sped up the love interest, because there's this side plot that happens with the two young kids, the son and one of the neighbor's daughters. There's a big plot that happens between those two that is much more detailed in the novella than it is in the film. They really rush it in the film. I mentioned some stuff with cows. There is a scene that is straight out of the book that they imitate in the movie. That unfortunately, the way they did it in the movie makes me laugh. The way that it was described in the book is fucked up. It's really, really disturbing, and the most disturbing part of the novella. But in the movie, they just did it so comical that it's just like, it looks like a spoof. Like, I don't want to say what it is, but there's a scene with a cow, and the cow dies, and it's so spoof-ish, and it's just so silly. And I laughed. I rewinded it and watched it again, and I laughed my ass off again, because I remember the scene in the book, and I'm like, in the book it was just so fucked. But in this, it's like a comedy. It's like the film turns into a comedy for a second. And the sound the cow makes and everything, it's just comical. But yeah, the film's good. Coming off of the novella, though, like I said, that's, I think, the issue that I had. I gave this film a 2.5 because I really loved a lot of things about it and aspects about it, but I think it just went too tame in other things. I think it should have really gone there and really captured that you know, disturbing element that the novella offered, and I think they should have gone further with making the audience uncomfortable, because I think they kind of watered it down a little bit too much. But that's just me. It's still a good film. Still one I recommend. And if you're, like I said, not a reader, you're going to love the film and get the story out of it, because they still tell the story the way it's meant to be told, and it's still impactful with what they do, especially with the practical effects and all that stuff. They don't, it's not it's not a PG-13 or anything. It is a fucked up movie too. It just doesn't go as far as the novella does. So in comparison, points go to the novella. But that's it. It's on Netflix streaming, so if you have a subscription, check it out. It's been there for a while, so 1922. I forget who directed it, but yeah, Thomas Jane as the lead. Incredible. And it's cool. So that's all I got on that. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming until next review. Have a good one. Take care and cheers.